What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, and today we have a special guest, Josh. It has been a hot minute since you've been on the channel.
It has been a minute, and I am glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're in town for the weekend. We got some fun riding to do today, but since you're here, I wanted to get your input on a question that I've been thinking about for a while. Is the Moto Guzzi Griso a muscle bike? I'm gonna figure that out today, and really, this is just an excuse for us to go ride in the hills and have some fun.
Look at the weather. I mean, today is insane. I don't care what we're doing. You said you got a couple motorcycles, and we're gonna film some videos, so muscle bikes it is.
Let's have some fun. When you think muscle bike, what's the first thing that comes to your brain?
VMAX.
VMAX. For me, it's the V-Rod. The V-Rod is like the epitome of muscle bike to me.
Yeah.
I also will think about bikes that are a little bit odd, something like perhaps the Monster 1200. Ducati does call that a muscle bike. It's a bit strange.
Yeah.
You're not entirely sold on it.
No, I think of Monsters as such just a naked sport bike, and they have a Diavel. So are they both muscle bikes? Is that a muscle cruiser? No, I don't know. I'm wrapping my head around the whole muscle bike thing, but for me, we have our sales manager at G-Force builds VMAXs. Mm-hmm. We have the one, I think you saw, it's got the NOS can, and it's got a 330-inch rear tire and stuff like that, and I see it about 10 times a day, so it's a very present idea of a bike in my mind.
Yeah, so you have that burned into your brain, but if I were to tell you that the Griso is a muscle bike, what would you think? It's got about 108 horsepower, 80 foot-pounds of torque, air-cooled V-twin shaft drive. It's heavy, but I think it's a pretty good example of perhaps a smaller muscle bike.
Completely understand. I don't know what this thing is. I keep asking you, is it like this? You're like, yeah, no, not really. I'm like, is it like this? You're like, yeah, well, no, not really. And I'm like, well, I don't know. You're just gonna have to let me ride it so I can figure it out. But I can definitely see it. I see the long wheelbase, 2 cylinders, like that, and shaft drive. So yeah, when you look at the spec sheet, it definitely pans out as a muscle bike. But I guess that's usually about feel as well, because there's a lot of bikes that have these similar specs.
Yep. So, on that note, let's get these things out on the road, and we'll get you in the saddle on the Griso and see what you're thinking.
Can't wait.
Let's do it. This video is sponsored by Flying Eyes. They're my preferred choice when it comes to sunglasses because their stems are super thin and fit between your head and your helmet without causing any pressure points. But more importantly for me, they're damn near indestructible. You can boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew, and they're gonna come out in one piece, unlike Sam's potatoes. But seriously, I've tossed these things off my Griso at 30 miles per hour, run them over with a Harley, and had rocks slam into them off-road, and they just keep on trucking. Plus, they offer lens warranties, so if you scratch them, you can have them replaced. They even have prescription options. Click that link down in the description below and use the code SC10 for 10% off your order. Now, let's hit the road. Alrighty, Josh, you have mounted up on the Griso. How are you feeling over there?
It is long.
Right?
I could put the kickstand down and sleep on this thing.
It's very because the motor and there's so much stuff between the headstock and the swing arm, it's really long there. It's a lot like an electric bike.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm like doing the dirt bike thing, trying to scooch forward as much as I can, thinking I can get some extra room there, and there is not. You do not. That's where you sit. You sit where you sit, and it's a long little bike. No, it feels good though. It feels like the weight is very kind of centrally held. Like some bikes, when you lean them a little bit, you can really feel that it wants to go. But this feels like it kind of really wants to stay straight up and down. How much does this thing weigh?
520 pounds.
520. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's a big boy.
Feels good. You got a heavy clutch pull. Woo, that's a manly clutch right there.
So it's hydraulic, and it's moving a lot of clutch plate in this bike.
Yeah.
Hopefully you won't be needing it too much. There's no modes. It's just on and off. and the throttle makes it go faster, and the brakes make it go slower. It's a motorcycle.
Gotcha. Okay, right. Clutch is on the right side. Front brake is on the left side. No, I know how it works. Let's do it, man. I'm gonna fire this thing up and get this. What is up with the kickstand?
It's 1,000 feet in front of you. It's a lot like the Pan America has a very similar kickstand. Yeah.
I'm like doing that with my foot, like ah. Okay, I'm excited to feel this thing rock. Wow, yeah, that is weird.
Flip it a couple of times and just feel the whole thing twist.
Wow. Yeah, like it pulls to the right just for a second. Like, wow, how cool.
It's unique.
You can really hear the valve train sound sitting on the bike a lot more than you can standing next to it.
It's a noisy place to sit, and I think that's definitely one of the things that makes it feel muscly, you know?
Absolutely. Okay, clutch engages towards the end, which is the opposite of your Hornet that engages pretty much immediately.
Yeah, the Hornets is very close. I need to adjust it a little bit.
Cool. Brakes feel good. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, there's a cop right next to you that you just did that. But we're gonna go ride really responsibly, officer.
I promise, officer.
Okay. Wow, yeah, this is interesting. My first thought was, is it like the R9T? That's what I think I first asked you, and it's not. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not.
Yeah, it's the R9T that we have the most experience with is Whitney's old Urban GS, and it's that's very much a cruiser. That bike, the Griso, it's not really cruiser vibes.
No, it's not. Like, because of the ergonomics on it. Like, because of where the handlebars are, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it may be different for you because you're such a larger human than I am. But for me, it's like, yeah, I'm definitely like reaching forward quite a bit. And I feel like I'm in a pretty aggressive stance, almost like handlebars on like a Duke.
Yeah. I'll let you get ahead here so you can feel it through these nice sweepers.
Okie dokie. Yeah.
Oh man, that thing runs rich. I've never been behind it before.
yeah, it's stinky. Yeah, wow. Yeah, so stable, as I'd expect from a bike with this kind of weight and wheelbase. It's actually, though, it changes directions pretty good. Like, I think because of the handlebar situation, I don't feel like I'm having to put heavy inputs to get it to turn direction.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's definitely, it took me a real long time to figure out what was happening with that motorcycle and why I was vibing with it. But one of the things that I realized, and I said this in the video that went live today as we're filming, that it has a lot in common with like the Arch Method 143. Obviously the Method's motor is gigantic. It's 143 cubes.
Yeah.
But the stance and the vibe is really similar. It looks very similar to me. And that's when I started to think about it less like, you know, whatever kind of modern classic cafe retro bike it is, and more like a muscle bike.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because this does not feel like a retro-y, cafe-y style. Those bikes are just like tip of the bell curve, comfortable, neutral riding position, and reliable torque you can count on and expect every time. This is not that. This is it is weird. You were totally right.
See, I'm glad somebody else says that it's like a weird and unique ride, because that makes me feel less like a Guzzi person. Because the first thing that happens when you ride a Moto Guzzi is you're like, they're just special, they're just unique, you don't understand.
Yep.
And then you ride it and you realize, oh, they are special, they are unique, and you just don't understand.
No, totally. And I get why a lot of people wouldn't like it. Like, a lot of people don't like things that don't feel like what they're used to. I think that's what it boils down to. And it doesn't feel bad by any means. It's doing all of the things that it's supposed to be doing very well. But it's just kind of a different experience. It's weird being in this position and then hearing the motor the way that it, I don't know, like, it's like slapping pistons when you're pulling out of corners.
Yeah, the motor is so agricultural. It's almost like antithetical to the rest of the bike, because the bike is kind of a sporty package, but the motor is just not.
But like, it pulls really linearly. It's not like an abrupt or weird smack of torque when you crack the throttle. It's not like a weird surge of power through the power band. I mean, I haven't done too much with it yet, but like, it feels like predictable, you know, which is cool.
Yeah. While we're talking about the power, I would like to just get your vibes on, does it feel like what you would anticipate a muscle bike being? My thoughts on that is just like, it's a muscle bike, you want a big smack of torque, and you might not rev it all the way out. I mean, the Guzzi, you can rev it to the moon, and, well, the moon being 7,500 RPM, and it'll pull, but it's definitely like high mid-range power is where it's at on that bike.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to check out, because I need to slow down a little bit because I'm on Lime Creek. So like, I'm in full-on like sport mode, trying to like hang off and rev it out. But yeah, you're right that it probably really, really excels in town, bopping around, starting and stopping, using the low gears at low RPM, which you know, I forget to ride that way when I'm especially out here on Lime Creek.
Yeah, I took you straight to the squid spot.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of power at the top of the power band too, which is, oh wow, big hit of power when you shift gears though.
Yeah, right?
Interesting.
It can almost unsettle the bike when you come out of first gear, how much it shakes. So do be aware of that. Coming 1 to 2, it will unsettle it a little bit in a corner, which is part of the fun, I think. A little bit of the brawl of that motorcycle, because muscle bikes, they're not supposed to be clean, and they're not supposed to be, you know, super easy rides. They're meant to be kind of hard, I think.
Well, and I love that. I love that about, I don't want my bike to baby me, you know? I don't want the bike to do all the work. I like having character, right? Character that like I have to kind of manage and tame and know about and understand and ride in a way that's not gonna get me hurt.
Yep. Oh man, the sound is so good. I just heard you pull away. I love that sound.
Yeah, this is so interesting. And I do like it. I like it a lot. And I like the stability aspect of it. I used to not appreciate that as much, and I thought that just bikes that were really kind of twitchy were fun. But I don't know like what the geometry of this bike is, but like when you want to turn, it doesn't feel like it's stopping you from. Maybe at slower speeds you'd notice it a little bit more. But like, you know, even just like changing, here's a good direction change. It's really easy. I don't know. It's like they designed it in a way that it does want to be ridden in a fun way. It's not just meant to be beautiful and go down the road in a safe way. Like, it is supposed to be fun.
Yeah. It's definitely a different riding experience too than just a normal naked bike. Like, we're on with the Hornet, this is the ultimate just naked bike experience.
Absolutely.
If you think naked bike, the 919 is naked motorcycle.
Yeah, or my bike at home. It is like exactly parallel twin, naked bike, sport bike. Like, and that's what I ride the most. And yeah, this feels a lot less tame than that. And definitely a lot less, it's definitely not what you expect.
Yeah. I just like how it's burly and kind of mean. It's got a lot of just it's got a lot of flavor.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a brawl, not on the like geometry suspension like left to right, but just on the throttle a little bit, like you were saying. And that's because it's a shaft drive and because it's a big twin. But yeah, it's definitely like a bit of a brawl. You can feel it like from the, you know, on the side of the tire, especially if you're all the way off the throttle and then you crack it open. It lunges forward, like it jumps forward a little bit.
And it's so pretty. I love seeing it going through the corners. I never see my own motorcycles go around a corner until somebody else rides them.
Right, yep.
And I don't know how pretty that bike is when somebody's riding it. And it's so beautiful.
It's a very good looking bike. Yeah, absolutely. I was saying earlier that the way they've buttoned it all up, you know, in typical Italian fashion, right? It's gonna look fantastic. But yeah, I mean, the fit and finish, the placement of the fairings, like everything, it definitely looks very, very good.
Now, getting to the kind of crux of the issue here as we're coming into this construction zone that always slows me down. What do you think about that being classified in the sort of muscle bike category? Maybe it's not like as fast as a VMAX, obviously, or a V-Rod, but the riding experience, it's not naked bike, it's not cafe racer, it's something different.
Definitely. I think muscle bike makes a lot of sense for this. Yeah. Because, I mean, I just used the word brawl a second ago, and I don't know. I don't know a ton about the muscle bike. Oh, goodness. Okay.
It's a lot to stop, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I was very, like, up on the brake lever, not, like, out on the end of it where you've got good leverage. But it stops fine. It's a good motorcycle. I think that like the ergonomics is going to be the biggest thing that is different from what I would consider a muscle bike. You know, it's not like a cruisery type of like VMAX or V-Rod or something like that. It's probably much more similar to a Monster in the ergonomics, definitely. Yeah, but like spec-wise, look-wise, yeah, I was just so convinced that this was going to be like an R9T, and it's very much not so. It's not that chill. It's not that like easygoing, flattering, you know, let your hair down and be comfortable while you ride this thing. It's like, no, pay attention, because this bike wants to go have some fun. And it's got a ton of torque. It makes me want to ride that Yamaha bike, MT1. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the MT-01 with the Warrior motor in it, which is 1,700 cc's in a naked bike.
Okay, that's crazy. I didn't know it was that big. But
it's gigantic, dude. 1,700 cc's, like 110 foot-pounds of torque, and 80 horsepower.
Yeah, I feel like the guy this is probably decently similar to that, right? And there was probably a designer who had one and was like, you know what? I bet we could do something pretty cool like that.
Yeah.
I don't know the history or how long this bike has been out or anything like that.
They started making those in like the early to mid 2000s. I rode a 2007. That was the Gen 1. That's a 14. So I think they made them for like a dozen years or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
They had a good run for sure, and I expect Moto Guzzi to bring it back with the Mandello motor. I really, now that they have the V100, I would be shocked if they don't make another Griso.
Yeah, because I haven't ridden that bike either, but I've heard how much you like it, and that would be cool. That would be cool.
It is a sweet bike. Honestly, I think one of the things I've learned this year is that I've been sleeping on Guzzi for too long.
Yeah, I have no experience on their bikes, really. I'm trying to think. What of theirs have I ridden? I don't know. I don't need to be thinking that hard right now.
Let's start wrapping up our thoughts here on this guy. What do you think about the Griso? Thumbs up, thumbs down? You want to ride some more?
Absolutely. I definitely want to ride some more. I want to feel what it's like this is like an ideal situation for riding a motorcycle, right? This is what we look forward to, is when we get to Lime Creek. But I want to know what it's like when you're riding it, because you've got to get your motorcycle somewhere, when you got to get through town, when you've got to commute. And I bet it's like super, super good and satisfying in those times as well. So yeah, I'd like to know how it behaves, you know, in all of the things that you need your motorcycle to do. But no, this is cool, and it's so different that it doesn't surprise me at all that there's a bunch of people out there that are going to totally love this and totally hate it. It's a polarizing thing, because it's not just a simple, easy, clear-cut, straightforward motorcycle. It's a little quirky.
There we have it. Validation, people. Validation.
You were right.
The Moto Guzzi, it's just different. It's just special. And on that note, guys, I think we'll wrap this one up. Josh, a huge thanks to coming out and having some fun and riding some motorcycles back in Austin. Can't wait till we do it again, man.
Me neither, man. Anytime you feel like twisting my arm and making me come ride motorcycles, it's I'm happy to do it. Yeah, this is a blast. Thanks for having me on the channel.
Sweet. All right. Well, we'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.